Morning and happy Sunday. I'm your host, Jolly, and you're tuned into Sunny Daze, where this week's brightest stories shine all in one place. So let's get started. Well, on our Did You Know, it was about underwater rivers. Yeah. Did you know they're actually underwater rivers floating beneath the sea's surface? These aren't like make-believe currents. They're streams of heavier water, often saltier, often colder, or loaded with fine sediment that sink and move along the channels carved into the seafloor. The scientists have even mapped one of these in the Black Sea. It winds for more than 60 miles. It's complete with its own banks and rapids. Imagine rivers inside the ocean itself, invisible highways, if you will, of liquid gliding silently below, shaping the seabed and carrying nutrients across the deep. It's like discovering a secret river system, right? In a world where you think it's already been mapped out. All right. And on our Sunny Day spotlight in movies and music, well, all right, here, Sunny Days. Let's dive into what's shining on the big screen this October and what was going on in September. So first up, we have Dwayne Johnson. He recently put out a movie. Whoa, he stepped right into the rings of a gritty drama. The name was The Smashing Machine. And this isn't your typical rock blockbusters. It was raw, it's real, and it's already having talk about the Oscar. On the 10th, it's Neon Lights and Digital Dreams with Tron Ares. Oh, yeah. Jack Leto leads us back into the grit in a story where man and machine collide like never before. Also out on the 10th, Miss Jennifer Lopez dazzles us in the musical Kiss of the Spider Woman. Part prison drama, part fantasy escape. It's a glitter, grit, and heart all kind of rolled into one. And for the music soundtrack this past September, well, at number one on the Billboard Hot 100 was Golden by Huntrix. Smooth, modern, and unstoppable. Coming in second was Alex Warren's Ordinary, a song that proves ordinary can sound extraordinary. And at number three was Miss Sabrina Carpenter with Tears, a track dripping with emotion and absolutely soaring on the charts. So, whether you're catching a movie this October or you're just going to turn up the volume for the top 100, the fall season is looking bright for both the big screen and our playlists. And our Jolly Chat original this week, The Great Acorn Jubilee. Well, deep in the heart of Wistwood Forest, where the sunlight dances through emerald leaves and the breeze hums and giggles, the chipmunks and squirrels were planning something rather spectacular, the Great Acorn Jubilee. See, every year they gather up nuts for winter. But this year, instead of treating it like, oh, boring old storage, Chipmunk Charlie had a wild idea. Let's throw a party for the acorns before we eat them. And soon the forest was buzzing. Acorns were polished until they gleamed. Squirrel Sophia strung them into necklaces. Chipmunk Chaz set up an acorn bowling alley. Yep, he used pine cones as pins. And high above, Squirrel Seraphina practiced her daring trapeze act from the highest of branches. As twilight settled, the jubilee began. The chipmunks tapped across little drums, the acorns, like they were little drums, filling the woods with a rhythmic tippity tip tip. The squirrels, well, they twirled in spirals and their tails were swishing like fluffy ribbons. Even the owls came down early, hooting in rhythm like a bass section. Then the magic really happened. The moon was rather curious about all the commotion. It rose early and cast a silver spotlight on the forest floor. Under its glow, the acorns shimmered, and one by one, they began to glow back. A hush fell. Every chipmunk, every squirrel, even the owls froze. The acorns pulsed with light like tiny lanterns of joy, filling the jubilee with laughter and wonder. See, said Chipmunk Charlie, eyes wide. Even the acorns wanted a party. And from that night on, every harvest season in Whisperwood wasn't just about gathering, it was about celebrating. Because sometimes joy isn't in what we keep, it's in what we share. The end. And now, how about our weak spot ponder? Well, ponder this. If every person is the main character of their story, how often do we realize we're just a side note in someone else's? We're starring in our own chapters. We're making choices. We're fighting battles. We're finding joy, but at the same time, we're showing up as background characters in other people's lives. Maybe we're the friend who gave advice once, the stranger who smiled in passing or opened a door, or the person who unknowingly shifted someone's day. It makes you wonder, if you're always writing your own story, what kind of role are we playing in theirs? Are we a helpful guide, a passing cameo, or maybe the surprise twist that changed everything? So here's the thought. What role are you playing in the stories around you today? And is it the one you'd want to be remembered for? Think on that. And this week's feel good story was called The Birthday That Almost Wasn't. Well, sometimes the biggest celebrations happen when we least expect them, right? Well, a young Thomas Daniel was turning 9, but he was also really being bullied at school. And then when his birthday came around, worst fear of ever came true. None of his classmates showed up for his party, just Thomas and his siblings, and one kind hearted police officer named Lanimi, who had helped Thomas just earlier that day. And that's where the story takes a turn. That officer couldn't let it in like that. So the very next morning, when Thomas stepped off his bus, he was met with balloons, donuts, gifts, and an entire team of police officers singing Happy Birthday. What had started out as the loneliest party turned into one of the most unforgettable days for Thomas. And what did Thomas say? It was the best birthday party ever. It's a reminder that sometimes the right people show up and they can turn someone's story completely around. Well, be sure to tune in to Sunny Daze Daily here on YouTube every day, Monday through Friday. And that's your that's your sunshine for the week. Thanks for listening to Sunny Daze, and keep shining and keep smiling. And as always, keep being you.